with Iran. And we begin tonight 7 days into the war with Iran and the alarming new development. Sources tell ABC News that Russia is providing a...
Well, the U.S. has launched an intense barrage at Iranian ships in and around the critical Strait of Hormuz. U.S. officials tell CBS News that Iran appears...
At 3:12 in the morning on March 18, 2026, Iran launched a 3-missile ballistic swarm at the USS Nimitz in the Strait of Hormuz, the most coordinated naval attack in modern history. 3 separate encoded pulses leave a buried relay station beneath a livestock structure 9 miles north of Bandar Lenga. Each pulse is 0.3 seconds long. Each delivers one command. Each command routes to a different underground address. All 3 execute within a 4-second window. In 3 separate launch bays, 2 hollowed beneath converted industrial compounds, 1 concealed inside a drainage tunnel beneath a commercial citrus farm. 3 hydraulic launchers begin rising simultaneously in the dark. 3 weapons, 3 separate trajectories, 1 target, and for the next 9 minutes and 44 seconds, they represent the most precisely coordinated ballistic threat ever assembled and aimed at a United States carrier in naval history. 40-7 miles west-southwest of those launch sites. The USS Nimitz pushes through the central Strait of Hormuz at 13 knots, leading Carrier Strike Group 11 westward. She displaces 101,600 tons fully loaded, carries 5,680 sailors and aircrew, and her complete air wing represents roughly $12.8 billion in aircraft alone. She is 50 years old. She has crossed this strait more times than any other American carrier in service. And tonight, for the first time in 5 decades of operational history, she is the designated terminal impact point of a synchronized 3-vector ballistic swarm. Iran spent 16 months engineering, specifically for her. But here is what makes this attack unlike anything America has ever faced. The Nimitz does not yet know what was placed in the water 11 hours before the missiles launched. And in the next 60 seconds, you are going to understand exactly why Iran nearly succeeded and why this story will never be covered the way you are about to hear it. If you want the complete truth about what America did in the 9 minutes that followed, hit the like button right now so this account reaches the people who deserve to hear it. All 3 boosters ignite in a 68-second staggered sequence between 3:12 and 3:12 and 14 seconds. The stagger is not concealment. It generates overlapping inbound timelines that compress into a 47-second arrival window at the strike group's defensive perimeter. The heat signature from the first ignition reaches every infrared satellite above the eastern Gulf before the second and third missiles clear their shafts. Iran is not hiding this attack. Iran is building a calculation problem. They spent 16 months verifying cannot be solved by any single ship's fire control system within the time available, what no sensor in the Nimitz's. The strike group has yet detected is the layer Iran positioned below the surface 11 hours ago, because the missiles were never meant to be the whole plan. At 4:17 p.m. on March 17th, 11 hours before the launches, a commercial vessel operating 38 miles northwest of the Strait's central corridor released 14 battery-powered semi-submersible drone platforms into open water. Each is 2.1 meters long, traveling at 2 knots on electric propulsion. Each carries no warhead. Each carries an active sonar jamming package and a surface radar spoofing transmitter, costing approximately $180,000 each. Their purpose is not to destroy anything. Their purpose is to be loud enough at precisely the right moment, to degrade the strike group's entire sensor picture when it matters most. That moment is still hours away, but the mechanism is already in position, and waiting. Comment swarm below if you believe 3 coordinated ballistic warheads permanently alter every naval defensive equation the United States ever built. The USS Lake Champlain, a Ticonderoga-class guided missile cruiser holding screening position 8.5 nautical miles northwest of the Nimitz, acquires the first launch via SPY-1A radar at 3:12 and 28 seconds, high-threat ballistic. Track 1. Track 2 registers at 3:12 and 34 seconds. Track 3 arrives at 3:12 and 41 seconds. The Lake Champlain's Combat Information Center now manages 3 simultaneous high-threat ballistic inbounds, all converging on the same threat corridor, all carrying maneuvering re-entry vehicles, all arriving within a compressed 47-second window. 3 separate targets, 1 fire control system, 1 ship. The weapons officer has 11 seconds to generate viable firing solutions for all 3 tracks simultaneously. What the computers return in those 11 seconds will determine whether the Nimitz survives the next 9 minutes. The fire control system runs all 3 engagement geometries in parallel. Track 1 presents a clean SM-3 block IIA solution from the Lake Champlain's forward launch cells. Track 2 has already executed a post-apogee lateral correction burn. Shifting its descent corridor 14 miles southwest, an intercept solution exists, but its geometry directly conflicts with the firing solution. Being built for Track 3 is the most sophisticated threat in the salvo. It is executing a basket maneuver pattern. 9 shallow lateral corrections applied during the boost phase itself, each one forcing the fire control system to discard its current. Intercept calculation and rebuild from a shifted position every 18 seconds. Consuming exactly the computation time Iran calculated a defending ship would need. The Lake Champlain fires for SM-3 block IIA interceptors, 2 at Track 1, 1 at Track 2 on the best available geometry. 1 at Track 3, assuming the basket corrections end at apogee. Each SM-3 block IIA costs $28 million. $112 million of American ordnance clears the deck in 9 seconds. Type yes right now if you want to see what happens. When all 3 warheads survive the first defensive layer, the SM-3 pair, assigned to Track 1, engages at 81,000 feet at 3:14 and 52 seconds. The lead interceptor scores a clean kinetic kill. Upper stage destroyed. The maneuvering re-entry vehicle separates from the debris and continues descending on internal navigation, exactly as the Iranians designed it to survive. The second SM-3 closes on the falling warhead and detonates in proximity at 67,000 feet, stripping 55% of its thermal shielding. The warhead is damaged. It is not stopped. The SM-3 assigned to Track 2 achieves clean intercept geometry and destroys the upper stage at 74,000 feet. The re-entry vehicle separates. There was no second shot available. Track 2's warhead descends intact, fully guided, at Mach 7.1 toward the Nimitz's aft flight deck on a bearing 23 degrees from Track 1. The Lake Champlain now holds 2 simultaneous terminal phase inbounds aimed at the same ship. Track 3 is about to make it 3. The SM-3 assigned to Track 3 misses. The basket corrections did not end at apogee. They continued through mid-course at reduced amplitude, shifting the warhead 11 miles from where the kill vehicle was searching when it arrived at intercept range. The kill vehicle acquires nothing and self-destructs at 3:15 and 44 seconds. Track 3's warhead is fully intact, fully guided, and descending at Mach 7.4.3 warheads entered the atmosphere. 2 are undamaged. 1 carries partial casing loss. All 3 remain on active inbound profiles toward the Nimitz. 3 warheads entered the atmosphere aimed at 1 ship. All 3 were still flying. Share this video right now so the people around you understand what a genuine coordinated swarm attack looks like against the most defended vessel in the world. At 3:15 and 30 seconds, all 14 semi-submersible platforms switch from passive drift to full active emission simultaneously. Sonar jamming packages generate an acoustic wall that forces every hull-mounted sonar across the formation to filter aggressively or go dark. Radar spoofing transmitters, Project 14. Fast-moving surface contacts onto the formation's radar picture from multiple bearings at once. The USS Curtis Wilbur, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer holding Picket Station 11 nautical miles northwest, is now managing 14 spoofed radar contacts, 3 descending ballistic warheads overhead, and a degraded sonar picture at the same time. Her weapons officer prioritizes the air threat. The underwater picture stands down for 90 seconds. Those 90 seconds are exactly what a planner in Tehran calculated would be required. The USS a second Arleigh Burke-class destroyer at southeastern screening position, 9 nautical miles from the Nimitz, has been building SM-6 intercept solutions since 3:14. She holds viable geometry on all 3 descending warheads, but her fire control computers are also processing the drone contact picture. Consuming cycles the intercept solutions. Need. Her weapons officer fires anyway. 6. SM-26 missiles leave the Milese's vertical. Launch cells between 3:15 and 58 seconds and 3:16 and 14 seconds. 2 missiles per warhead. Each SM-6 costs $4.3 million, $25.8 million. Launches within 16 seconds. If the depth of Iran's synchronized planning has genuinely changed what you believed naval warfare looks like today, comment layers right now in the thread below. The SM-6 pair assigned to the partially damaged warhead from Track 1 executes a workable intercept. The active seeker locks at 9.2 miles. The warhead's compromised casing generates a slightly irregular radar cross-section, but the seeker resolves it. The warhead pulls a 14G lateral turn. The SM-6 holds pursuit at 11G and detonates its blast fragmentation payload at 18-meter standoff. Tungsten fragments destroy the re-entry vehicle's internal navigation array. The warhead goes ballistic. The second SM-6 scores a direct impact at 22,000 feet. Warhead 1 disintegrates over open water 14 miles northeast of the Nimitz across a 3.4-mile debris field. Nothing reaches the ship. The SM-6 pair targeting Track 2's intact warhead encounters a harder problem. This warhead is cycling 7G direction reversals on alternating axes every 4.2 seconds, calibrated to saturate the SM-6 seeker's prediction algorithm by forcing constant geometry resets. The lead SM-6 detonates 31 meters from the warhead, sufficient to crack the outer casing, not sufficient to destroy the guidance array. The warhead continues. The second SM-6 closes to 9 meters and detonates. The maneuvering thruster assembly is destroyed. The warhead falls straight, unpowered, predictable. It strikes the Gulf surface 2.2 miles south of the Nimitz, raising a water column visible from the bridge windows. The fusing system, calibrated to trigger on aircraft carrier structure, does not register open seawater as its detonation surface. The warhead sinks inert without detonating. That leaves Track 3. The warhead, the Lake Champlain's SM-3, missed entirely. Now at 29,000 feet, descending at Mach 7.4, with 2 SM-6 missiles airborne but running on a predicted trajectory the warhead has already deviated from by 8 miles. The SM-6 seekers are scanning. The first seeker locks at 6.1 miles. The warhead is 19 seconds from the Nimitz's flight deck. The ship's own close-in systems engage without waiting. Both rolling airframe missile launchers fire simultaneously at 3:16 and 41 seconds. The first round clears the launcher at 3:16 and 42 seconds. The warhead is at 17,800 feet, closing at 5,600 feet per second. The ram's viable engagement window at this descent angle is 3.8 seconds. The ram round detonates within 4 meters at 3:16 and 44 seconds. It tears through the outer shell and destroys one of 2 laser gyroscope modules. The warhead veers left. Terminal guidance runs on 1 surviving gyroscope. Computed impact point shifts 280 meters to port. The SM-6 that locked at 6.1 miles closes on the deflecting warhead and detonates at 11,000 feet. Tungsten fragments intersect the warhead along its new trajectory. The second gyroscope fails. The warhead is completely ballistic and structurally failing, falling on a path that resolves to open water 600 meters off the Nimitz's port bow. Impact at 3:16 and 58 seconds. The water column reaches 140 meters. Bridge windows receive spray from the column. The ship is untouched at 3:17 and 3 seconds. The Nimitz's air defense coordinator reports all 3 tracks splashed or clear. The full engagement from first radar detection of Launch 1 to the final impact lasted 9 minutes and 44 seconds. The crew will not learn until 4 hours later exactly how close the third warhead's terminal trajectory came to the portside aircraft elevator. Now run the arithmetic. 3 Iranian ballistic missiles at $3.8 million each, $11.4 million. 14 semi-submersible spoofing platforms at $180,000 each, $2.52 million. Iran's total operational investment, approximately $13.9 million. America fired for SM-3 Block IIA at $28 million each, 6 SM-6 at $4.3 million each, and 2 Ram rounds at a combined $1.1 million. Total American defensive expenditure, $140.6 million. Iran spent $13.9 million. America spent $140.6 million. That ratio is the actual weapon. $1 Iran committed for every 10.1 America spent in response. In Tehran, that number is already written down. Adjacent to it, someone has calculated how many 3-warhead swarm operations Iran could fund using the cost of tonight's interceptors. The answer is not 1. The answer is not 2. The compounding arithmetic of that exchange ratio, repeated across future engagements, is the strategic weapon Iran has been building all along, but the Nimitz is still underway. The Lake Champlain is restocking her launch cells. The Milius has cued her next SM-6 firing sequence. The Curtis Wilbur sonar team reacquired a clean water picture within 80 seconds of the drone platforms going quiet. There was nothing there. The drones were never the primary threat. They were built to manufacture 90 seconds of sensor confusion while 3 ballistic warheads attempted to reach 5,680 people. The noise failed. The missiles failed. The Nimitz's flight deck resumes operations at 3:41 a.m., 24 minutes after the last warhead hit the water. 2 FA-18F Super Hornets from the Nimitz's air wing are already over. Iranian territory at 3:39 a.m. The 3 launch sites were resolved from satellite detection coordinates, cross-referenced against thermal data, and loaded into weapons systems before the jets left the catapult. Each aircraft carries 4 GBU-31, Joint Direct Attack munitions, 2,000 GPS-guided bombs at $25,000 each, 8 bombs per aircraft, 16 total. $400,000 in precision-guided ordnance. They hit all 3 sites in a sequenced pattern, beginning at 3:44 a.m. to underground launch bays collapse. The drainage tunnel, hiding the 3rd launcher, is destroyed. A command relay vehicle parked 300 meters from the citrus orchard is eliminated. Craters appear on commercial satellite imagery before dawn. Iran's state media describes them as attacks on civilian infrastructure. 3 commercial satellites and 1 government reconnaissance asset captured all 3 simultaneous launch. Blooms at 3:12 a.m., the imagery already exists. The complete story is already written. Iran engineered a swarm. 3 warheads on 3 separate vectors with 3 distinct terminal profiles. 14 sensor spoofing platforms flooding the defensive picture at the worst moment. The architecture was built to convert 1 intercept problem into 9 concurrent problems no single ship could solve in the available time. The coordination and 16 months of planning were all genuine, and all of it was not enough, because the Nimitz was not defended by 1 ship. She was defended by a networked formation whose radar feeds, fire control computers, and weapon cells share 1 continuously updated threat picture and act on it as a single unified system. Every platform within 50 miles of the Nimitz responded as one. Iran built a swarm to defeat a single defensive layer. America had already built a structure where no individual defensive layer stands alone. If Winds of Thought gave you something in this video that mainstream coverage never will, smash the like button right now and subscribe to Winds of Thought, because next week we go inside the SM-6's autonomous radar seeker and explain exactly how it found and destroyed a continuously maneuvering hypersonic warhead at Mach 7 without receiving 1 correction signal from the ship that launched it. Drop the word swarm in the comments right now so we know you made it all the way to the end.